This is going to be part one of a three-part series about how to start your wedding invitation business. I'm going to give you the first 5 things I would do if I was starting an invitation business today. So let's dive in. First of all, who am I? I'm Laney of Design by Laney. I have over 450 invitation projects under my belt. I've been in this business for over a decade and educated thousands of wedding stationers. So I have seen a thing or two, and I can tell you what people typically do wrong when they're first starting out. So here's the 5 things that I would do if I was starting a wedding invitation business today. The first thing you want to do is just register your business, get it set up legally. In order to do this, you're going to need to choose a name. People spend way too much time thinking about this. Pick something that sounds good. Make sure it is not super specific. Like, you don't want to make it say calligraphy if you're not sure you're going to be doing calligraphy forever. Make sure your social media handles and your website domain are available before you decide on your name. And then just choose your name and go with it. Most people in the US start as a sole proprietorship. This is pretty easy to set up. And then if you have any local, state, or county requirements, you can just Google that. So Google your county and starting a business, and there will be a page that comes up from your county website and will have very clear instructions. For instance, when I started my business in San Diego over 10 years ago, I had to put it in the newspaper every Friday for 3 weeks in a row. It was very weird, but they had very clear instructions on how to do it, and it cost me like $20 and we were good to go. Legally, you might also need a tax ID. Just Google how to set up a federal tax ID. It's very, very easy to do, and you might need this to set up some of your wholesale accounts, but it's not technically required until you start hiring people. And then you might also need a sales tax license. Again, just Google sales tax license in your state and county, and it will give you all of the instructions. I'm sorry I can't give you that more clearly, but every single county is slightly different. A great place to ask sales tax questions is in a local Facebook group for business owners in your area, because they're going to know that code inside and out. Also, a tax accountant is a great place. The second thing you want to do is learn invitation etiquette. Your job is to be the expert for your clients, and even if you want to throw etiquette completely out the window, you should learn it first and then break the rules in ways that make sense. It's okay if you don't want to use the most formal wording. It's okay if you don't want heteronormative, cisgender normative things on your wedding invitations. However, you need to learn what it says when 2 people are on the same line. You need to learn how to address people with correct titles. You need to learn how to display who is hosting an event in a clear way, because these rules do exist and you're saying something with the words on your wedding invitation. So your clients are going to expect you to be the expert. Be the expert. You can learn etiquette at emilypost.com. She has long been kind of the reigning queen of invitation etiquette. Second, you want to learn your design programs. I'm going to highly recommend Adobe. Most designers that I work with either work in Adobe InDesign or Adobe Illustrator. Adobe Illustrator is my favorite. I have a free class I'll link below for you. It is a higher learning curve than a program like Procreate or Canva, and it does cost money. However, you are starting a business. There are expenses. That's just how it is. And if you start working with any other stationery designer or any print shop, they are going to expect you to speak the language of Adobe. So it's the industry standard for a reason. It's incredibly powerful, and while you can design beautiful stuff online in a lot of different programs, getting it to print is going to be a lot harder if you're not using those industry standard programs. And eventually you're going to start to hit roadblocks because your designs are going to get more complex, especially as you work with more luxury clients and luxury print methods. So highly recommend Adobe. I'm going to link my free class below for you. And the best way to learn Adobe is just by diving in, take that free class, design some things, and that brings me to point 4, which is just to create some things and get them printed. Creating something beautiful on screen is part of the job, but it's probably like a third, maybe even a quarter of the job. Actually printing and producing those things is sometimes, and in some ways, a lot harder than making it look beautiful on screen. So you're gonna have to invest some time and some money into printing your suites, because you're gonna learn a lot, and you would much rather learn on a fake project with a quantity of 10 than a real project with a deadline and a quantity of 200. So if you're gonna make a mistake on printing, you really want that to happen in practice, not with a real client. I'll link a blog post below where I talk all about printing and link some of my favorite printers to use. There's also a bunch in my printing playlist here on YouTube. One thing I like to advise beginning stationery designers to do is work with friends of yours who are having smaller events, baby shower, birthday party, bridal, bachelorette party, etc. Those are smaller events with much less pressure, and you can get the experience of working with a client and understanding how your designs need to interact with their preferences or real information like dates, times, etc. without having to spend a ton of money. So offer to do the design for them for free. Maybe they pay for the printed materials, and it's a really good working relationship for the two of you, a way for you to get practice, them to get something customized for cheaper than they would otherwise. And it's a lower quantity, low pressure event. The other reason you want to print your work is so that you have something to show, which brings me to point 5, which is start sharing your work. A lot of beginning designers think they need to get this beautiful professional website up, but you're really thinking about it way too much. Start sharing your work on a social media platform, whether that's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc., and work on getting a very, very simple website up. All you really need is an about page, a contact page, and a little gallery. People are looking at your website just to make sure you exist and are a real business, and maybe to reach out and contact you. They don't need it to be some crazy super professional thing, and you can go ahead and add to it as you get better and grow and have more of a process laid out. But the key here is just to start sharing your work in places that people are going to be able to see it. And that's how you're going to start getting some of your first clients. So if I was starting a stationery business, these are the first 5 things I would do. I would register my business, make sure it's set up legally. I would learn etiquette so I can be the expert for my clients. I would learn design programs so I can actually design the things I say I'm going to. I would start printing some of my work, and then I would just start sharing it casually in whatever way feels most comfortable for you. From there, you can reiterate these steps and continue to get better based on what looks good, what feels like you, what design styles you're drawn to, and what your potential clients want. If you want me to walk you through these steps and so many more for like over 10 hours, you can check out our beginner foundational class, which is everything you need to start a stationery business. It's called From Start to Suite, and I'll link it in the description. I'm going to come back for part 2, which is how to expand your stationery business after you've kind of got these steps down. We've gotten through our first clients, and we're working on building more of our dream business. Let me know what questions you have about starting your stationery business, and check out all the resources I linked below for you.